Welcome, friends, to the exciting birth of a brand new segment here on the channel I will lovingly call Giant Freakin' Mistakes. This all comes from a recent live stream done by that old Yorkshire geek where he was going over some Giant Freakin' Robot articles, and they were just so rife with problems and inaccuracies and just bad information. I figured, why not join in on the fun? And since they seem to put the barest minimum effort, if even that, the lowest tier effort into their articles, I figured I will do the same for my video. And as you can tell, I already started strong by putting the article on my wrong screen, which means I won't be looking at the camera nearly as much as I should. But let's actually crack into this. Maybe there'll be some vital information we missed in here and something to learn, or maybe we'll just have fun along the way. Join me down below if you want to go through the article yourself. This one's entitled, Star Trek Voyager Revival Finally Happening? Strong headline? No, it's not. In my opinion, there is no chance of a Star Trek Voyager revival happening in any shape or form. Let's read on because maybe I'm just misunderstanding. Following a number of reports suggesting the revival of Star Trek Voyager, I can't imagine there's reports actually suggesting that. I'll read on. And the appearance of numerous Voyager characters in Star Trek Prodigy. That is correct. There have been several Star Trek Voyager characters and Voyager adjacent characters in Prodigy, so we're 1 for 1 right now. Fans are led to believe the show's revival is imminent. No, we're not. We can't confirm that is true due to the lack of official confirmations, because there aren't any. We can, however, speculate further on whether or not the revival is truly taking place. It's not, given the planned cameos in store for Prodigy Season 2. Okay, so we do know from behind the scenes and in front of the scenes, if that's even how you say it, there are returning characters in Season 2. Obviously, Catherine Janeway will be back. We have to assume Robert Beltran as Chakotay is coming back, regardless of all the behind-the-scenes problems that may or may not have gone on during the strike with him. And the Doctor, the EMH, Robert Picardo, all of them will be in Season 2, so we have 3 characters right out of the gate. That part is correct. Let's see what more... Okay. The Voyager, EMH, the Doctor, this is probably where all of this speculation is stemming from. Most of these reports stemmed from clip teasers regarding the upcoming Prodigy Season 2, blah blah blah. I just kind of talked about that. And it also gave us a glimpse of Voyager A. I am actually excited to see the Voyager A in action. I don't know if that means we're going to spend all of our time on the Voyager A. I think they were also kind of putting into commission a new protostar type. I also believe that while the Dauntless was kind of a big part of Season 1, it was stated it's not really going to be in Season 2. I don't know if that means at all, or if we're just going to see it like very minimally, but that leaves the question of, is the Voyager A the only ship we're going to see outside of Gwyn's side quest, or are we going to have kind of a couple of main hero ships here? I digress, however. Let's get back to this insightful article. These depictions unleashed an avalanche of speculative reports and unverifiable industry insights regarding the show's revival. Again, I don't believe that to be the case, but I could be wrong. Which actually isn't all that surprising considering that a good chunk of Star Trek Voyager's crew has already returned to the Star Trek franchise. This is particularly true when it comes to Prodigy. I'm going to come out and kind of butt against that here. Yes, Star Trek Prodigy has featured the return of Voyager characters. I count 3 main characters, I guess you could say, and while that is a good chunk, other characters have appeared in other Star Trek franchises, which they definitely do mention, but I don't believe that currently Prodigy has had more than their share. Now, if we look at Star Trek Picard, I almost said Legacy, fingers crossed on that, we've had 7 of 9, we have had Tuvok, and we have had Icheb. I know a lot of you probably don't want to count Icheb, but this is my video. I'm going to count Icheb. That's 3 characters. We've had Catherine Janeway, Chakotay, the EMH in Prodigy. So far, confirmed characters. That's 3. Even if we only look at those shows, that's 3 to 3. Prodigy does not have the majority. Again, nitpicking, but I just wanted to fight back against that because Voyager is kind of being spread across the entirety of the ongoing Star Trek franchise outside of Discovery, which I guess has referenced it by having a future version of Voyager and I think even a future version of the USS Janeway, but they haven't really brought in any characters, which makes sense, they're in the future. Voyager favorite show up in other Star Trek shows. Definitely forgot to pluralize something there. Voyager favorites show up in other Star Trek shows. I'm going to go ahead and say that's what they meant to say. For example, Kate Mulgrew, who portrays the iconic Catherine Janeway in Star Trek Voyager, has already made an appearance or voiced the character in Prodigy. What a weird way to phrase that. Has already made an appearance or voiced the character in Prodigy. She's voiced 2 characters in Prodigy at least, possibly 3 if you want to count the corrupted version, but what do you mean made an appearance or voiced the character? Again, I'm nitpicking, that's just very poorly phrased. Furthermore, she's joined by Robert Beltran, who portrayed her old first officer, Chakotay. But Prodigy isn't the only release within the franchise that features iconic appearances from Star Trek Voyager, which only adds more fuel to an ongoing raging rumor mill. Robert Duncan McNeil reprised an animated version of Tom Paris, and Jerry Ryan and Tim Russ made live-action reprisals of their Voyager roles. Yes, we've already discussed that. Tom Paris and Harry Kim, I would be less than surprised if either, if not both of them, made an appearance in Prodigy at some point, especially considering Garrett Wang has stated, "I belong to Prodigy." We all kind of assumed at the point that he misspoke, he didn't really know what he was talking about, but it could potentially mean he was already doing voice work and contractually obligated to appear in this show. And especially since it seems like they didn't have the best oversight as far as maintaining Star Trek continuity between shows, they wouldn't really want to have him in Prodigy 20 years prior to Picard and also have him in Picard, because that kind of lessens the impact of what may happen to him in Prodigy before that's even aired. With all that said, there's still no official confirmation regarding Star Trek Voyager's revival, but that doesn't stop the fandom and media outlets, both of whom I'm assuming are you, giant freaking robot, from speculating. Hopefully the outcries of the Star Trek-loving public will reach the eardrums of the producers, and our wishes will be granted. Admittedly, half of those already were, considering that Star Trek Prodigy is widely regarded by the fandom as a spiritual successor to the Voyager series. That I do agree with. However, there have been statements behind the scenes that that was not the intention, but maybe that'll be addressed later on in this article. So coming down a little bit further, well, I would, except the website is kind of blowing me off here. Okay, there we go. More Star Trek cameos in store for Prodigy Season 2. The Hangman Brothers? Almost 100% positive there aren't any Hangman Brothers, but if there are, they're not in charge of Star Trek Prodigy, specifically stated that they had no intentions of becoming the Voyager show. Okay, they actually are addressing the thing that I had heard behind the scenes, so kudos to Giant Freakin Robot for actually getting to that. However, it's really hard not to think of Prodigy as a spiritual successor of Star Trek Voyager, when you have both Janeway and Chakotay appearing in the series, along with the announced appearance of the Doctor. Again, those are the 3 confirmed we have right now. I have to imagine we will be getting a heck of a lot more. But the good stuff doesn't end there. Hangman, that's 2? That's 2. They're the Hageman brothers, or Hageman. I've always said Hageman, but be that as it may, Hangman Brothers, not a thing. Also announced the appearance of other legacy Star Trek characters, but they haven't disclosed which ones, apart from the fact that they're not from Voyager, leading more credence to the fact that this will not be a Star Trek Voyager revival. Is there more? Let's find out. Coming down here, Star Trek Voyager nearly 3 decades later. For those who aren't acquainted with Star Trek Voyager, the show follows the adventures of a Starfleet vessel USS Voyager as it attempts to return home to the Alpha Quadrant after being stranded 70,000 light years away in the Delta Quadrant, at the far side of the Milky Way galaxy. As much as I'd like to quibble and find fault here, that's a fair assessment of what Voyager actually is, so I guess good job to them. Let's continue on down here. Okay, after this lovely swelling due to lymphedema, doctors say do this immediately. Not going to click that. Sorry if you were here for medical opinions. Not going to give them. The series is notable for introducing numerous new alien species. That's true. Vidians, Kazon, Malon, the Hirogen, Species 8472. Lots of solid picks of brand new species and creatures and characters introduced and created for Star Trek Voyager. Which ones did they decide to go with? Including the infamous Borg, which were first introduced in Voyager and set the stage for their appearance in The Next Generation. Okay, I suppose you could kind of see how that works. Voyager did deal with a lot of time travel, so let's say the Borg first appeared in Star Trek Voyager, then they were so widely regarded, and Voyager was over there on UPN, it was kind of their flagship show, but it wasn't nearly as viewed as much as TNG had been years before. So they took the Borg from Voyager and just sent them back in time 5 years and put them on TNG, which had already ended by the time Voyager started. I think that's actually probably pretty accurate, and that definitely is what happened. Star Trek Voyager was a massively popular television show that produced numerous media spin-offs. I guess you could say that it spun some things off, like there were a few Star Trek Voyager comics, some novels, and possibly the best Star Trek video game, in my opinion, Star Trek Voyager Elite Force. But I would say more likely Voyager is the spin-off, and it didn't really generate spin-offs of its own. That being said, I suppose even Prodigy could be considered a spin-off of Voyager, but they all kind of seem to be a spin-off of the Star Trek idea. I don't really think Voyager spun its own spin-offs. Like, there isn't a Naomi Wildman show. There isn't a, although I would watch that, there isn't a Neelix cooking show. If those things existed, a Captain Proton show, sure, I would even kind of grant you the fact that Star Trek Voyager created its own spin-offs. As it stands, I will definitely give them Elite Force, and I don't even want to say the novels and the comics, because those are not exclusively Voyager things. Those are just tie-ins that exist for Star Trek in general. One more time, I digress. Let's finish this thing off. And it's really no wonder why. The fandom is excited at the possibility of its revival. Well, one can only hope. Again, there's really no chance we'll actually get a real bona fide Star Trek Voyager revival. The closest I could possibly consider is, let's say Star Trek Legacy is a go, and we eventually reintroduce all of the Star Trek Voyager cast members in some manner, and there's this big crossover type thing with all the Star Trek shows. Maybe at that point we'll get a pseudo A-Force from the Avengers type scene, where all of the Voyager cast members just kind of happen to be in a room at the same time. Or, alternatively, maybe there'll be some sort of animated spin-off where we deal with Voyager all in animation. I don't think any of those things have actually been discussed or speculated about except by us nerds, but those are just my thoughts. But what did you think of this video, and how did you find the article? For the most part, it was just a bunch of fan wishes with a little bit of questionable information based upon real, actual information that's been given by people they didn't even get the names correct for. Leave all your thoughts down below, like, share, subscribe, do all those fancy YouTube things. But until next time, computer and program.